Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Playcallers Sports Production proudly brings to you the flagship show, Playcallers Sports Talk. Another Friday, 7:30 p.m. EST. Me, my co-host Stephen Bob, and we're joined by special members of our team, Mr. Joe and Coach Dante. What's going on, fellas?
What's up? What's up?
What's going on? What's going on? Ready to get off into it.
You already know. So, ladies and gentlemen, just a quick reminder about who we are. And it's time to rock. And what I want you to pay attention to in that slight quick video we got for you is the live interactive sports talk. But that's what we need you guys for. But hey, we know the NBA Finals is ramping up tonight. A lot of stuff going to be happening about that. I think a couple other things we can talk about real quick before that. Number one, of course, one Christopher Paul has been released, and there's all kind of buzz about different teams that are interested in him, including the Suns. Excuse me, not the Suns, including the Clippers. I mean, there's all type of rumors about point guards that the Suns may be interested in, including Damian Lillard. So, Stephen, we'll start with you. Any questions in regards, any thoughts in regards to the different scenarios that have been put out as far as what's going to happen in Phoenix now that Chris Paul is gone, and then what's going to happen with Chris Paul as far as where you think he'll land?
No, I mean, I think that, if I'm looking at Phoenix, it kind of comes down to cap space wise, they got to kind of figure out what they can do. Going to see who's available. I don't know if it's still possible. I assume they can probably still do some kind of sign and trade with Chris Paul, where they could always re-sign him and trade him if that, is something that's open to possibility. But, we'll see what happens with them. In terms of Chris Paul, I think at this point in his career, he's obviously going to go to a contender. He's, clearly at this point just want to go get a ring. And while there might be a couple good fits for him out there, the big question you always have to have with Chris Paul is, can he stay healthy? You mentioned the Clippers. Obviously, the Lakers are going to be a team that gets rumored. Chris Paul's been, supposed to come to the Lakers ever since the botched trade that Laker fans we don't like to talk about. But at the end of the day, do you really want to have LeBron, AD, and Chris Paul on the same team and can't let them stay healthy? So it will be interesting to see. I think wherever he goes, he's going to make a team better. But the big question mark you have to have with him is he going to be around when it matters most?
We'll just go around the circle. Coach Dante, what are your thoughts?
Well, at this point of our career, we can be honest. At this point of his career, we can be honest. He is never going to get healthy and be healthy in a playoff stretch or in the middle of a season. He's never going to get a full 82 or full playoff stretch of games with Chris Paul being healthy in the lineup. So let's get that about the way. But the fit, I think it's two fits that I can see happening for Chris Paul. I think Boston, I think they really need a legit point guard. When I look at their lineup, I don't think they have a legit point guard. I mean, Marcus Smart can play it. He can be a playmaker, but I don't look at him as a point guard. But outside of it, them in that lineup, most of the ball handling duties are Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. That's most of their ball handling duties. And Malcolm Brogdon, he comes off the bench. So I think sticking Chris Paul in that lineup right there, you get a instant serviceable point guard who can get guys involved. You also can get a leader on the floor, with another coach on the floor, and someone who holds guys accountable. But as far as him being healthy, you're not gonna never see a healthy Chris Paul. That's already been shown, that's already been sown, and we already been seeing it. When the game get tight and stuff like that, he always stays hurt. and plus due to him, not getting things done in a playoff stretch, but he's never going to be healthy in this situation. And I think Miami. I look at Miami. I think he fits right into that culture, that Pat Riley culture. He's also a solid defender as a 6-footer, even though his defense kind of declined because him being so short. But I think he fits right. I think he fits right there. Something that Eric Spoelstra and Pat Riley can go want that fits that build. And I don't look at them. I don't think they have a legit point guard. No, Gabe Vincent runs the point guard, but he's a shooter. He's more of a shooter to me. Jimmy Butler handles most of the ball handling duties as well. So I think those are two legit teams that I think that can go that Chris Paul can land and go to.
JJ, what about? Well, excuse me, Joe. What about you?
Well, in reference to the Phoenix situation, I think we all saw it coming, and I do agree with Coach over here that he's just never going to be healthy. I will say it's amazing that Coach Dante recommended two teams that I was thinking about as fits. And another team that I think would be a different one for him, I think if you're going to keep, those guys of Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns, maybe Minnesota. Gobert works better with the pick and roll, and I think Chris Paul for stretches will be something that can help that team when you need to take Anthony Edwards to red rest. But wherever he's going to go, I think you're really going to have to really manage the season for him to really make sure he can be in a crucial piece to a playoff run should you get there. And so I think those are the three teams that I think would be the best fit for him.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to go Boston. I think that's still a great fit. But all three teams that you named are better fits because you put them in like either the Clippers or you put him with the Lakers. The cap he's probably going to take here. He's another guy that's injured. Those teams both already have problems with guys being injured. So it doesn't seem wise to throw him in to another team. There's other opportunities, but he's going to want to, he's going to want to get a little bit of money. He's going to want to have a chance to win. So a lot of the other places are not going to offer both of those. Now, maybe even a sleeper could be San Antonio after they get Wembanyama because, of course, Wembanyama's the next LeBron, but 2 times better, according to people who want to make him the next Kane before he even plays. But just saying, it's a possibility. But we do have, just to switch over, 2 other kind of large releases. We do have Dalvin Cook, who has been officially released, as well as DeAndre Hopkins. So we'll start with you this time, Joe, and just swing around the other way. What do you see as places that these 2 guys could end up at? Do you think it's a possibility to play together? And if so, where would that be, as well as where do you think that would be best? You just give us 1 or 2.
I don't know the contract situations for most teams, so I'm more so basing this on what I think would be a good fit. I would think going to Philly would be a good fit for Dalvin Cook for the sense of that's a team that does use their running game. And the other reason why he was being released is that Kevin O'Connell clearly doesn't want to have the run game. And so I think that's a good fit for them. As far as DeAndre Hopkins, I personally want him in Baltimore. But I think, of course, anywhere he goes, he's going to be a good fit because when you age as a wide receiver, if you have those hands, you're going to have a chance to succeed pretty much anywhere if you have a talented team around there. And so I think my favorite fit would be us, but I think I could see Buffalo really being a good fit after I thought about it from our last combo.
Coach?
When I look at Dalvin Cook, I think of 2 places that I can see him fitting. Tampa Bay, I think I can see him fitting in Tampa Bay. I think they need a running back as well, and he also will have a chance to probably be an instant starter over there in New Orleans, the New Orleans Saints. I think about the New Orleans Saints over there as well. I think you're gonna have Alvin Kamara suspended, and you got Ingram over there as well. So I believe those 2 good situations that he can go in. So and when I think about DeAndre Hopkins, no, this is probably a long shot because again, he's already gonna visit New England. He's already visited Tennessee. I don't think those 2 teams by his say that are winning. But when I think about a team that is winning, and anywhere he goes, I think he becomes the number one wideout receiver at that position. I think Kansas City. I look at Kansas City, and you playing with Patrick Mahomes, he can instantly walk in there and be the number one, and make that team more dangerous. So I think Kansas City will be a solid fit for him.
Yeah, I think when you look at Dalvin, there's a couple of teams that make sense, right? Buffalo is to me is an obvious one, like Joe mentioned. Not just because he can go there and really be the number one bat, but because they've struggled running football consistently over the years. And don't forget, his brother plays there, so he might actually have some interest in going to play with his brother. Also, in the New York area, the Jets are a team that a lot of people aren't mentioning. I'm kind of surprised by because remember, Brees Hall's coming off the ACL. We don't really know if he's going to be back to full strength. And that's a team that just went out and made moves to get Aaron Rodgers. They're trying to compete right now. So that could actually be a really good fit there as well. And, obviously Miami's going to get mentioned because we all know that Mike McDaniel loves to run the football. And even though they have some good running backs down there, they don't really have a true number one. And then obviously Dalvin Cook is a great fit for what Sean Payton likes to do. So I think from a scheme wise fit, Denver could also be a good look.
All right, so we got a couple of comments here. So we got Rod since the unapologetic Patriots fan. Says, "What's up, fellas? D Hop coming to Foxborough." It's a possibility. I don't believe he would. Wants to win. It's not a winning place right now. Patriots versus Cowboys Super Bowl. That tells you everything you need to know about Rod. That's all I'm gonna say about
that. To quote Rick James from Chappelle Show, cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Yeah, I don't need to say anything. He said everything he needs to say himself with his choices. For me, I like the combo in Baltimore. I think both of them could help upgrade Baltimore. Baltimore needs a guy that's going to have some durability. You put him with some of the other guys from Baltimore. I think that's essentially, Joe, correct me, but J.K. Dobbins is the one that's still there, right?
J.K.
and running back.
Yeah, J.K. and Gus are both there, but yeah, J.K.
Yeah, so we're not going to put Gus on the same level as J.K. We're not going to do that. So I think he would fit there, and then obviously another weapon for your quarterback. Lamar Jackson, freshly minted with a nice new amount of money. What is it, like $5 more than Jalen Hurts, just so he feels good or whatever? But
a little bit.
50, 500, whatever it is, a tad bit more. But I think it would be a good fit as a combo there because you'd help with the running game. You give them a second back, a guy that's had great years, that when healthy and behind a good line can be a threat, as well as another option at wide receiver. We don't know if Bateman's going to ever stay healthy. Zay Jones. You ask me any day of the week, Zay Jones, DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm always going to go with DeAndre Hopkins. I agree with a lot of the places that, Zay Flowers, Jones, whatever. So I think there would be a good place for them both to go. I agree with the places you guys named. Tampa Bay, they could both go there as well. I mean, they're not paying Tommy Terrific anymore, so there should be some money there. So just a couple of places. There are other ones, but I'm just going to roll with those. Rod says Meth is his favorite. Hey.
Duly noted.
You said it, we didn't. So I wanted to switch gears here for a minute. It's not a long conversation here. And if you guys want to chime in, you can. If not, it's cool. But we had a situation happen that's very unique in the world of professional golf. And we don't talk golf a lot on Playcallers. But when things happen, sports. So we got to, just kind of dive into it a little bit. So for those of you who are not aware, and I'm sure all of you are, the company that owns Live Golf, as well as another golf organization, but just not to be disrespectful, that they're just being added. They're not really important in our discussion. And the PGA have agreed to merge. next season. After the live season was ends later this year, actually. What this means is that all those guys who stayed loyal to the PGA Tour and didn't take that upfront money from live, Ron Simmons for you. That's all I got for you. Basically, what live was doing was getting players, paying them money up front. Whereas with the PGA and other golf tours, you have to earn money by how you place. If you don't place, you don't get a purse. So Liv was giving people money up front. So a lot of guys said, no, we're going to stay loyal to the PGA because the PGA commissioner went on this rant about how, it's blood money from Saudi Arabia and he doesn't want to be part of that and so on and so forth. And, how guys should stay loyal to PGA and you don't have to question if you're doing the right thing. And in a back door situation that the live players didn't know about, PGA players didn't know about, or the other golf association didn't know about, they agreed to merge. So to me, hypocrite does not even begin to describe this guy, right? It's unfounded. But now you're going to have a large influx of cash from the Saudi Arabian fund, and the person who's over the Saudi Arabian fund is now going to be on the board of directors for this new organization that they haven't named yet. I don't think it stays live. I don't think it stays the PGA. Maybe something like the World Golf Association, maybe, who knows, but they're going to rename this new entity. And that's going to basically be all of your majors across golf. Now, one big difference, live, they play 3 rounds, whereas PGA, they play 4. What that means is they play an extra 18 holes if you're on the PGA Tour. So guys like Tiger Woods could have benefited by being part of live, but guess what happened? No. He listened to the PGA guy and stayed loyal, so he missed out on some funds. So we'll see. Maybe live says, hey, you know what? Since we're absorbing everybody, we're going to throw everybody like 100,000. Boom, boom, boom. We got a little cash to spread around. We'll see. But it's another one of those situations where you're loyal to one group, where you could have went somewhere else, did some of the same things, that got more money. People listened, they were loyal, they got burned again. So that's my take on it. And I think one other thing for me, hypocrites are really, really funny when they try to change their tune.
Man, a lot of people don't really realize that, everybody gets, man, you're going to try to defend your position. You're going to try to maintain your status quo, right? Nobody's blaming the PGA guy for doing whatever he's got to do to try to keep people on board, keep people from defecting over. I get that. But you got to be careful about the way you approach stuff and the way you go about it, because sometimes an opportunity is going to come back, fall in your lap that you can't say no to. And now you look like a hypocrite. Now, maybe he's getting enough money out of this and he doesn't really care what people think. And if so, then he's probably not listening to our show and it doesn't care what we think. But at the end of the day, you do look stupid because you not only went out and tried to get people to stay, but you really went off the deep end. You basically tried to attack Liv to get your people to stay. And now you're joining up with them. And like Cool said, you end up looking like a big hypocrite. At the end of the day, to me, the thing that's the big story out of this, because I don't personally really watch too much golf. I don't care a whole lot about golf. I think for the people who do watch golf, this is a good thing though, because what this did is it showed that you could take a very established brand like the PGA and you could come in and you could challenge because they're not keeping up, right? They're not doing things to make things better for the players. And you could come in and you could challenge them and you could disrupt that system. And the PGA is something that they probably felt like they had no competition whatsoever. They got completely blindsided by Live Golf. Live came in, they disrupted the industry, and now they're all merging together. And I think that's going to ultimately mean better benefits for the players. I think it's going to mean a lot more for them. And that's going to continue to attract young talent who maybe doesn't want to play a more physical game like football, or maybe doesn't have the skill to go play basketball, right? So these are now going to create more opportunities for the game of golf to grow. And therefore, that might actually grow viewership and things like that as well.
Coach, your thoughts?
I don't even pay too much attention to golf at all, so I passed this one.
Joe, any thoughts? Cool. One other thing, there's two big reasons it happened. Liv was starting to slide the big names away from the PGA Tour, which was affecting how effective the PGA Tour was. Also, Liv had some lawsuits against the PGA Tour where the PGA was going to have to open up their books and allow the government to see all that they had been doing. So there's talks about they misrepresented the amount of funds they make. The higher ups were misrepresenting how much they were getting paid, things like that. So they didn't want those things to get out. So a big part of this merger, and PGA has tried to say it's not a merger, but it is there's no further litigation. So kudos to the PGA for getting money for all the executives, being part of a new entity that's going to be created, and keeping all of your dirt in the closet. So I think everybody wins. Saudi gets what they want, and the reason I want to talk about this is going to start to slide into the world of basketball, baseball, professional football. The Saudis are coming with that money now. They've got their foot in the door, and they have a plethora of funds. So now you're going to see them looking to get into the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, Major League Soccer. They're going to be infiltrating the sports here in America. So be on the lookout for that. Where are they at, sir? What teams are they on in the United States?
Well, I thought the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars was from Saudi
He
Arabia.
is not Saudi Arabian.
Okay, I'm mistaken then.
Yeah. So they are not.
Yeah.
But they're coming. So be on the lookout for that. You're going to see some of these teams that are going to be up for sale soon get a ridiculous amount of money for the owners. And we're going to see that group that has the money, that has the funds, that, is wanting to get into it, become a global sports influencer. You're going to see them become that. So be on the lookout for that. Like I said, we don't talk a lot of golf, but sometimes things happen. They need to be discussed. So why not? All right, so we'll roll into our big topic, of course, of the week. And that's going to be the NBA Finals. So, Joe, we'll start with you again. Actually, Coach Dante, we'll start with you on this one. We haven't started with you yet. Game 2, Denver Nuggets versus Miami Heat in Denver. What were your thoughts of Game 2?
Well, my thoughts on Game 2 is I thought, Eric Spoelstra did a phenomenal job of making, made the adjustments what he did in Game 1. Thought he made Jokic become more of a scorer than not a playmaker. Thought he did a great job of doing that. Jamal Murray, he hit a couple of big shots at the end of the game to put it within that 1 minute, to put it within 3. But Bam Adebayo was really good in that game. Gabe Vincent had 22 points, hit some big threes in the third quarter. Especially in that fourth quarter, Duncan Robinson was solid. So they got when Jimmy Butler wasn't the best in that game, but he had other players that contribute and definitely stepped up. And also when you make 17 threes from behind the arc and you get to the free throw line 20 times and make 18 of them, that was the cause of the game right there. When Miami shoot the ball well, they can win. If they don't shoot the ball well, they would get run up out of the gym by this Denver Nuggets team. And this Denver Nuggets team right here, they have a huge size advantage. And in Game 2, I thought Miami played pretty well. They competed on the boards, but the difference of the game, obviously, they made shots. They made threes. Denver struggled from the 3-point line. They shot 48% from downtown, so that was probably the cause. That was cause of the win. When they shoot well, things go well for them and get to the free throw line and be aggressive. Things go well for them. When they don't, they can fall apart. But we'll talk about more about that probably on the next one. But they shot the ball well and they got to the free throw line and made them. So they had other guys stepping up in key situations.
Absolutely. Joe, we'll go to you next, sir.
To me, I think we're just seeing how each coach is making adjustments from game to game to game. And that's kind of what I kind of expected coming in. In reference to game 2, that was a game that I was kind of shocked that Miami won because Denver was in control for most of it. And then Malcolm Malone referenced that ahead of game 3 and saying win that fourth quarter. And they won the fourth quarter in game 3. This is do or die for Miami right now, in my opinion, because only one team's come back from 3-1. But I think I'm curious to know if they're going to even it up, because if these coaches are coaching their behind off, they're doing all types of things to try to neutralize the team's best players. And when you have that type of battle, it just flips-flops. And so I think tonight they're going to flip-flop, but ultimately I think Denver is going to win the series, because as much as I want to think Miami in 6, I don't think that it's just going to be too much.
All right, Stephen, what are your thoughts on game 2?
So, here's the thing, right? When I look at this series, everyone is talking about they're surprised. And honestly, I was a little bit surprised that Miami managed to win one of the games in Denver, but I wasn't that surprised, because if you go back to the Lakers and Nuggets series, we saw Denver play very similar in game 2 of that series. It's like they went out, they won game 1, they kind of got a little confidence, and then they let up a little bit in game 2. And the difference is that Miami was making shots in the fourth quarter, whereas the Lakers didn't make shots in the fourth quarter in the previous series. So I wasn't completely surprised, because we've seen this from Denver before. And I've even heard Cool say that Denver has a tendency to do this, where they just kind of, they get comfortable, they let up, right? Sometimes they'll get a big lead in the game, and then they'll let up towards the end of the game. And I think people were maybe kind of shifting over and thinking, oh, Miami, they actually won in Denver. They were really confident in Miami going home, maybe winning game 3. But I'm looking at the fact that I'm like, Denver couldn't hit a shot to save their lives in the fourth quarter of game 2. Jamal Murray was horrible, only put up 18 points. And it feels like a miracle that he even got that many points the way he was playing. And they still only lost by 3 points. So I actually was very confident that Denver was going to come back and win game 3 in Miami. And while they may not have gotten as much out of their role players as they normally do in Denver, their 2 stars showed up and showed out. And that's what this Denver Nuggets team needs. I picked Denver in 7. I said I wouldn't be surprised if it ended in 5 or 6. I've seen nothing that's changed my mind about that. I think Denver is the better team. And I think that they let up a little bit in game 2, but I think they understand what's at stake now. That I'm not saying that Miami's not going to win another game in this series, because Miami understands what's at stake as well. But I'm not really surprised by the way things have gone so far, except for I just figured that maybe Denver would win the first 2 and then Miami might win game 3 at home. But I honestly expected it to be 2-1 at this point.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I definitely expected it to be 2-1, hopefully 3-0, right? But probably 2-1. I knew that there would come a game, and I've said that on the show. I've said that on top of the Key Mother show I do after this one. I've said the thing is Denver has a tendency to relax. They're a bunch of nice guys, right? And sometimes when you have that dynamic, when you get in these games, you win the game, people start saying, oh, yeah, Denver is the truth. They won game 1, they could have lost. They won that. They get to game 2, you kind of feel good about yourself, right? Kind of smell yourself a little bit. Like, oh, we got the game under control. We chilling. And the whole time Miami's like, well, we're not going away. We don't care if we're down 0-3. We're not going away until we are beat. And I definitely think the adjustment of Jimmy Butler on Jamal Murray was big for Miami in game 2. Bam started to assert himself. I said after game 1, Bam was going to be trouble for us to guard. We just had to make sure that Jokic matches what Bam does offensively. If we're able to do that, great chance for Denver to close out this series in 5-6 games. You don't want to get to game 7 ever in a series. If you're Miami and you're down, you want to get to game 7 just because you want another opportunity to win. But if you're both teams, you'd want to win in 6 if at all possible, to not have to force a game 7, because game 7s are what? One and done for both teams. You don't know how pressure is going to affect some of these role players on either team. Um, Miami has guys that's never been here before. Denver's whole team, pretty much, except for Kentavious Caldwell Pope, that actually plays in the game, hasn't been in this situation before. So you never know how people are going to react. I do love the fact that it's a series, right? A lot of people everybody was talking about a sweep. And I felt like after game two, essentially we were made to be this super great team and, oh, Denver's unstoppable by the media and everything. Just so if something like this happened, then they could come back and say, they're not as good as I tell you, they're not as good as we thought they were, right? You've had people starting to say some things again after game one about how Denver can't really win and beware of Miami and all those things. And I'm not saying that Miami's going to lay down for anybody. I'm not saying that they are not a team that we'd have to be wary of, because I believe all along, if you're going to beat Miami, you're going to have to beat a team that has a whole lot of heart, and they're going to give everything they have on the court. They definitely did that in game two. As Joe said, not a huge performance offensively from Jimmy Butler. But when you ask him to take away Jamal Murray, you're basically saying, we understand we're going to lose you too, because Murray is very active. He's very aggressive, and to alter his shots, to get in front of, stay in front of him, to force him to have a bad game, that takes a lot out of you. But as has already been said, the role players for Miami stepped up. The guys that don't necessarily play as much stepped up. Guys elected to say, you know what? Yeah, we're on the road, but it is what it is. If we don't win now, we don't know what's going to happen. So we need to go ahead and make sure that we get this win. So Miami did that. They definitely evened up the series, put a lot of pressure on Denver to say, hey, you got to win at least one of these two games in Miami. If not, you lost your home court. Denver was able, which we'll talk about in a minute, able to do that. But as for game two, I thought it showed what we've been saying. Eric Spoelstra is the better coach, because he was able to say, I know for this game I can do this. Obviously, he came out with something different in game three. It didn't work, but Denver would have been prepared if you put Jimmy Butler on Jamal Murray again. So he came with something different. I'm sure he'll do the same thing in game four. I'm sure Denver's going to come with some different things for that as well. But I like the chess game from game to game. Whether you win or whether you lose, I see both teams attempting to make adjustments, attempting to do some things different to try to throw the other team off. And it's a chess match as much as it is a basketball game as well, because it's matchups, it's who's playing. They kept Kevin Love in the starting lineup. I think that's been instrumental. I honestly would like to see Aaron Gordon take a shot at guarding Bam, the way he's playing, and put Jokic on Kevin Love. Maybe we try that this game. There's a lot of different things you can do, a lot of different matchups, but I see both teams coming out tonight playing hard. I obviously hope Denver wins, but for game two, I like what I saw from both teams. Denver made a ferocious comeback, but it was too much, too little, too late, because you did not play enough defense. You allowed the shooters to be open. This is a theme that you're going to hear from me. Denver, you have to cover. You can't sit back. You can't fight over the screen. All right? There was a specific play. I forgot who got the ball in the corner, but it was a double screen. Michael Porter Jr. was fighting through the screen instead of just dropping out to the guy on the deep side and allowing the guy who was guarding him to shift up. So because Porter was attempting to fight through the screen, they were able to get the ball to him, and he was able to hit a good shot, or he would have been able to move the ball into the corner if he wasn't open. But it's those shifts, it's the understanding, like, hey, this is what we need to do. Michael Porter Jr. has played solid defensively. He's had some struggles offensively, but the defense, the rebounds have been needed as well. He showed up with a lot of rebounds in game two as well, but didn't do a lot of things offensively. You're going to have other guys step up. We saw that in game three. It can't be that the entire time. But for game two, I feel like Miami did exactly what they were supposed to do. I wasn't like, oh no, the Earth's over, everything's we're going to lose the series now. Hey, you're going to lose a game. You just lost it when you expected to win. You go get it back, and now it's still 2-1. Try to make it 3-1 tonight. I mean, if you can't, you got to do it game 5. And that's pretty much what it is. And then, we'll move on. We'll go the same order. We'll move on to game 3, which was played on, I believe, Wednesday night. Yeah, Wednesday night.
Game three, both teams struggled from downtown, but the problem was Denver owned the paint. And Miami tried to give them try to give them a different look. They came out later in the game, later on in the game, they tried to play a 3-2 zone a lot, it wasn't work. And one thing people need to know about the 3-2 zone, you got to make that zone move. Once you make that zone move, it opens up a lot of opportunities, and you see how many opportunities open up. You seen guys like Christian Brown, my favorite rookie, coming up out of this year's draft from Kansas, winning the national championship, and immediately making an impact in this game 3. He was if I had a game ball, I would give Christian Brown a game ball the way he actually played on the defensive side of the ball, a lot of backdoor cuts to the rim. That pick when Jamal Murray got jumped on a pick and he immediately jumped up and Christian Brown found an open hole into the defense, into the goal. He caught it and he dunked it in. And also Denver defense was stout. They played the 1-3-1 zone, which is evidently when Miami is not making shots, Denver is gonna, kind of make a laughing stock about them. And that's what Denver did. That's what I thought Denver did. They got a lot of wide open shots. Miami didn't make them. Denver got the ball. They ran down the court. Aaron Gordon also had 5 assists. He was a part. They got so much basketball IQ. When you even play the zone, the middle was wide open, but that because they wasn't settling for a lot of threes in the zone. They were moving the zone around. They were making the zone work, and they were finding open gaps. And, Jokic got his triple-double. And also, what I thought was a wild card in this game, Jamal Murray being aggressive early. When he was making shots early in the game, you knew what type of ball game it was. He hit those first 8 shots, those first 8 points. I say, yeah, he's going to be on tonight. He's going to be more aggressive. Then when you start seeing, Miami starting to change up their defense and starting doubling him, then he was being a willing passer, getting the ball out, put Jokic in the middle and let him make the right play. And that's what they were doing. They were making the right play, and they actually played defense, holding them to 94 points. But also, I thought Miami had a lot of wide open shots. They didn't capitalize. But also, when they tried to go to the paint, you saw Denver just was attacking the ball handlers and making life tough for Miami when they tried to go in the paint. So really, nothing really. I thought it was all good Denver in that game. Denver totally dominated, especially they got up by double digits at that point in the third quarter. It was just Miami really had no answer. They played a zone. Denver had an answer for it. They tried to play man. Denver had an answer for it. They tried to jump Jamal Murray. They had an answer for that. So everything in game 3 that Eric Spoelstra tried to throw at Denver, Denver basically had an answer for it. And, Michael Porter Jr. did not shoot the ball well. He shot some ugly shots in that game, but his size, his length, and his defense did make an impact on how the game was played. So got to give more credit to Denver. And Miami didn't make shots. If Miami do not make shots, Denver will run them out the gym. Denver will run them out the gym. It won't be even a ball game.
Yep. I want to quickly say happy cream fresh Friday to you too, Eric. Big Sleazy E. Inside joke. Go ahead, JJ. Or excuse me, Joe for the night.
I think the Gabe Vincent foul situation really changed the rhythm of the Miami squad, because when you think about them, he's been kind of a guy that's helped them maintain or keep the game within reach, so that way they can try to make that final push in the fourth. And wrong place, wrong time, midway through the second quarter kind of just changed things for them. But as Coach had just referenced, Denver at its best likes to start with Jamal getting it going. And then in the second half, that's when Jokic really kind of comes to play more. If need be, then Jamal comes in. I think that was never more evident. And when that's how Jamal gets in a rhythm. When he hits the first couple of shots, you knew that he was going to have the game that he ended up having. And what I will say is, I am wondering if that, like, what's going on with Jimmy, because he has having problems with the size of Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. And I think Aaron Gordon in Game 3 has been phenomenal on the boards, getting those assists, just doing all the little things. Like, his game fits perfectly with the 2-man game of, Jamal and Jokic. I think with Miami, you got it. You need your Gabe Vincent. You really do. I think because if he's the other person that you can rely on if anybody else is kind of struggling. Caleb Martin had a quick burst, but he didn't have too much traction after that. Gabe Vincent throughout the first 3 games has been the guy that's been there. And then, like I said, he just was off because of the foul situation. I think for them, they need to, Aaron Gordon's defense on Jimmy has just made it so much harder for Jimmy to really do what he wants to do because he just can't out-muscle him. And I think that's what's changed the trajectory of Miami in that game because while he had 28 points, he's not been efficient. He just has not been efficient. And I think that was a telltale sign. Denver was doing what Denver does. It's such a well-oiled offensive machine. Like, those two get it going, it's no warning. And then Jokic was aggressive. But to have 2 guys on the same team have a triple-double in an NBA Finals, we're talking about the premier competition, is big.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys covered a lot of the stuff there. And when I look at, game 3, like I said earlier, I think it really kind of came down to your 2 big stars showed up to play, right? And when Miami started making adjustments to especially take away Jamal Murray and force the ball out of his hands, that's when you had Christian Brown actually step up and come in and start making plays, which Denver really needed somebody to do that. JJ, I'm just going to speak to your point real quick about Jimmy Butler and why Aaron Gordon is giving him so much trouble. And I don't think it's just a matter of his size. I think a lot of this actually goes back to Miami not handling their business in the last round against Boston. We talked about how Jimmy Butler was having to be the best player on offense and defense in that series for Miami. And he had to basically put that team on his back and how he was starting to look worn down at points in that series. I think that series going 7 games and him having to extend himself that much. And now he comes into this series and he's having to deal with a bigger body, somebody who's weighing on him, someone who's leaning on him the entire game. And I think it's just a matter of Jimmy Butler doesn't have gas in the tank. I think that's really what the problem is for him. And you can tell it because his shooting is off. It doesn't seem like his laser is under him. He doesn't seem to have the same burst that he normally does. So I think that's why we're seeing him struggle. It's a combination of that last series going more games than what it should have. And you're now dealing with a bigger body person on you on top of that.
And Jimmy Butler has missed some open opportunities. Yesterday, the other game, he had so many open. I mean, there was one shot that he had at the rim that he literally shortened. So he had some opportunities to make some shots, even some easy mid ranges that you think he should make. The mid ranges that Jokic is making, Jimmy Butler has more easy ones than those, and he's missing those. So again, he is getting some open opportunities. But I also think Denver can throw different guys at him too. But that series is supposed to have been finished. That Boston series, I think it made and took a lot out of Denver. And you already know coming into this series, Denver was well rested. They were well rested, so that had a factor as well. So it's interesting to see tonight how this game is going to go. Is Heat really feeling the tired effect of this series going on, and the more ball pressure that Denver put up on them, they blitzed them in game 3, and it was that nobody couldn't get to the rim. Kyle Lowry didn't have the same explosives. I mean, Denver was standing literally in front of these guys, so it was really nothing Miami can do. But also, Jimmy Butler missed some easy opportunities in game number 3. He's been missing them all series, really.
And I will, if I may, I will say for you guys about Michael Porter Jr. reference offensively. I think he just doesn't move around. And I think that's kind of been a problem because he hangs around the 3-point line. And I think if you notice how Braun, KCP, Bruce Brown, they're all moving. And I think they're looking. There's been so many sequences in game 3 that you've seen that they were not trying to hang it to him, the 3-point line. They saw the attack was in the paint. And they just went the different route. Jokic, Gordon, Murray, all of them is just like, stop hanging around the line. I think if he starts moving around, just cut. Like, Jokic
Yeah.
and them, they're going to find you. Just cut. They run that high ball screen. As soon as Jamal turns around and runs past, he's looking to try to get somebody or try to get into the paint to kind of push that defense inside. And then if you cut, you got a free open lane for a basket and one. But he just hangs around the 3-point line like the entire time. And that looks like it's starting to be frustrating for the fellas, to be honest with you. It's starting to be a little bit frustrating because he had so much athleticism. You would think that you would want to kind of come to the basket. You could get so many fouls and get your team into better situations for the quarter. And then that's what I think is what he's been, because he looked checked out game 3.
But honestly, JJ, that's to me a symptom of this younger generation where everyone wants to jack up threes and not take fouls. I mean, nobody wants to go in the hole and get hit and get fouled and go to the line when they can just sit up there and jack up 3-pointers.
Yeah.
So a lot to unpack for me for this game. I felt like it was a good performance. I'll take the win, but I was very disappointed in defense. I know I'm in a Nuggets group, so everybody's throwing out numbers. Oh, they defended 60% of the threes and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, outside of Jokic and Murray, Brown had, 15 points? So you got 32 from Jokic, 34 from Murray. So that's 66. You got another 15 from Brown. So we're talking about 66. We're talking about over 70 points, right? Like 71 points. So a majority of the scoring was from 3 guys. You can't ask Murray and Jokic to be that effective offensively and ask Christian Brown to play like that every game. So the concern for me was the defense has to really get after it even if you're not scoring. And then also Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Bruce Brown, Aaron Gordon, those guys, as well as Michael Porter Jr., need to start putting up points. Michael Porter Jr., I've saw opportunities where he's just basically trying to shoot step back threes. You are 6'10", 6'11", with an arm span as long as or longer than Kevin Durant's. If you don't take your long hind part somewhere closer to the goal and shoot, you need to be on the bench. And I like what he does defensively, but if you're going to play great defensively, then turn around and do nothing for us offensively, we might have to look at some of these other guys, to come in and get some of those minutes. Now, I think he can get himself out of the slump by going to the hole, by being aggressive, by attacking the basket and not settling for threes. Yeah, you like to shoot your 3. Yeah, that's the cute shot. You don't want to go to the hole and get fouled. I know Michael Porter doesn't want to go to the hole and get fouled. He's already had to have 2 back surgeries and missed 2 seasons because of injuries. But you can still pull up on the mid-range. You can still shoot a floater. You don't have to just post up at the 3-point line and only want to do that offensively. Move around without the ball. Get you some easy shots. You don't have to take fouls if you don't want to take them, right? But you've got to do more than what you've been doing. You're a key part of this team. You're being paid like a key part of this team. Play like a key part of this team. Find ways to get buckets to help your team. And to me, the rest of the team has to step up and not watch Jokic and Murray in game 4 to win. Miami does not want to go back to Denver after losing 2 games at home. So they're going to give it everything they got. I think we're going to see Jimmy Butler come out and be, as Joe likes to say, Hemi Butler, or at least his best impression of him tonight. I think you're going to see those other guys firing away at home and all that stuff. Game 3 versus game 2, one of the things I noticed that was a big difference was how we guarded Duncan Robinson. In game 3, we say, you know what, you want to go to the hole? We're going to cut it off too. We're going to close out on you. We're going to get on you. We're not going to just close out running at you shooting threes and let you fly by us like we did in game 2. Game 2 was a hard defensive game for Denver. Game 3 was better, but it wasn't great. You let the lead get cut to 9 late into the game. You kind of gave up a little bit on your aggressiveness. You gave up on your focus. You can be better. And I'm not saying that Denver had a bad game, but that's nowhere near the best that I've seen from Denver. And this is the stage for Denver to show everybody who they are. This is the stage for Miami to show everybody who they are. You're in the NBA freaking finals. You win the series, you get a championship. If this is not where you come in your best, when are you ever going to bring your best? And I don't think we've seen the best from either team yet. And I'm curious as to if we see the best from both teams, what it looks like. So hopefully we'll get a little taste of it tonight, guys. I'm looking for a good series. I want Denver in 6. I want Denver 5, but still want a good series because people don't watch blowouts. So we do have a couple of minutes left here, guys. Any other thoughts on any of the topics tonight, or any other topic you want to shoot on real quick?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say in terms of what's going to happen tonight, I think that Miami is going to come out and get a win. I do expect them to come out, play really hard. It would have been a big boost to them to get Tyler Hero back, but he has officially been ruled out for tonight. But even with that, I do think Miami comes out because, like Cool said, they know if they come out and lose this game, you're asking them to go win 2 games in Denver. I don't see that happening, which is a big part of why I picked the Nuggets in 7 because I figured, there was no way that Miami was going to be able to go and win 2 games there. I expected that Denver could be able to win at least 1 game on the road. So I didn't see I don't see that happening still. I don't think that they can go up there and win 2 games. So Miami knows they got to go leave it all on the floor tonight and tie this thing up at 2 because if they don't, the series is over in 5.
Yep, to me, it's a must win for the Miami Heat. They have to win this ball game. If they don't win this ball game tonight, I think the series is over. Because, like Steven said, you asking them to go win 2 in Denver. You asking them to go win 2 in Denver. So this is a must win for Miami tonight.
I just think they need to just continue doing what they've been doing that's gotten them this far. Because I think we referenced it earlier. They kind of came in a little bit thinking like, home game, we stole home court. And to like Cool's point, when Denver, he felt they smoked themselves after game 1. I think Miami kind of smoked themselves after game 2, when the 8th seed or a underdog gets a road win. But I think they come out a little bit more aggressive. I think Gabe Vincent has to be able to be effective for this team to have a chance. And I think part of that's not just on the offensive end, but the defensive end. He's one of their best on-ball defenders at the guard position. Is he as big as Jamal? Is Jamal going to still get it off? Yes, but in these type of games, especially how Miami wants it, you just need – the guy can have 25 points. You just need to muck it up for 3 or 4 possessions down the stretch, and then that game is over. But if Gabe can't get into rhythm, I think it's going to be too much for asking on them to really kind of overcome. But I expect a much more focused, a much more consistent Miami team that you've seen this whole season. And I think they have a good shot at tying this up. I think for my sake, I do think 6 games is where this type of matchup should be going, because I think both teams have shown that they have the capability to do it, but you just got to keep your mindset on it every single game.
Yeah, I definitely can dig that, man. For me, it's simply a matter of who wants it more at this point, right? You can have we can talk about all the cute stuff about Eric Spoelstra. He made this one amazing change that changed the whole game, and Kevin Love's in the starting lineup, and that's just changed the whole series. Didn't like it change the series in game 3. I think when these adjustments are made, they're short-term things. And that's what I want people to understand. And this is not just about these 2 teams. This is about basketball, period. Sometimes these changes are made, they're short-term changes. They're not something that's made to be a long-term success, but a short-term thing to make the other team go back and say, okay, what can we change to try to combat this? But at the same time, you have to do what works for you. If Denver wants to win the series, that 2-man game has got to work, but it doesn't have to always be Jamal Murray. We've seen him do the 2-man game with Bruce Brown, Jokic. We've seen him do it with Aaron Gordon. They got a lot of time together last season, a chance to kind of build a little camaraderie there, build some, things that they do for each other. So I think it's just a matter of other guys saying, look, we're in the finals. This is our best opportunity to ever get a championship so far. So why not capitalize on it? Why not leave everything on the floor? Why not try to take these 2 games in Miami? They took 1 from us at home. Let's take 2 from them. Nothing would be more poetic than Denver go back to Denver in game 5 with a chance to close out the series, and they win their first ever championship and their first ever appearance in the finals at home. So if that's not motivation, I mean, come on. And on the other hand, because it's 2 games in the series, like I said earlier, Miami's not going to lay down for this team. They need Caleb Martin to play well. They need him to be more realistic in the shots that he takes and not just have a heat check every game. If you're not playing well, pass the ball, get yourself an open shot, move the ball around. Don't just stand out there and do like Michael Porter Jr. Don't be Michael Porter Jr. for Miami because that's not helping either team, right? Michael Porter, don't you be Caleb Martin for Denver. Move around, go to the hole, get shots, play defense, just flow with the game, and as the game comes to you, play. Whoever wins this game is going to definitely have momentum going into Game 5. But like I said, whoever's up 3-2 in Game 6, I think it's going to be. But whoever's up 3-2, you don't want this game to go 3-3, and then you got to go play Game 7. So the biggest motivation I think is we don't want the Game 7 on either side. So you want to finish it on 6 on either side. But also you want to be aggressive. You want to leave it all because it's like Charles Barkley said years ago. If you go out and you do everything you can do, you still lose. Hey, I did my part.
Yeah.
I wish I would have won, but I did my part. Right? The New York Knicks teams that played the Bulls never could get out of the East because of the Bulls. They gave Chicago everything they could handle, but they just couldn't beat them. But they don't have to have regrets because they left it all on the court. It just wasn't quite enough. Yep. And that's where I think you want to be. You go out, you give your all, you win, you lose, but you give your all. NBA fans in general, this is the type of series you want to see. 2 teams that you don't normally see in the finals, right? This is an opportunity to have these type of things happen. It doesn't necessarily mean it has to be these 2 teams all the time, but see different teams in the finals, right? Because we talk about scripts and we jokingly say, if there was a script, then we would have had like Boston and LA. Agreed. But if you think about it, this is a great story. You got the first team to ever come from the playing games to make it to the finals, and you got a team in the finals, their first game, the first time ever. So, I mean, it's amazing. So we got Scrub Zero here. Scrub Zero says, I got heat for Game 4. Okay. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, I'm going to pick them because you see who I'm a fan of, but I could see Miami winning this game because, again, this is their opportunity. You lose this game, you give Denver the dream scenario. You give them the chance to finish the story at home and have the Cinderella first time there. You don't want to do that. I want you to, but you don't want to do that. So we'll just see. This first quarter is going to be very telling in this game. The first quarter has told us who's going to win the games in the series. Whoever's either up in the first or whoever's made that last run in the first. That's been who's won the first 3 games. So if that holds true, you either want to be up at the end of the first quarter or you want to be the team that's on that run at the end of the first quarter. Starting hot is very important. Finishing is very important. And the 2 quarters in between, you got to maintain. If you can start hot, maintain second and third quarter, and finish strong at the end of the fourth quarter, you should have a great opportunity to win this game, and it's going to go for either team.
I just want to say that while I agree with you that for the sport of basketball, it's good to have some fresh faces in there and all that stuff. As a Lakers fan, piss on your storybook ending. Picked you guys. I have nothing against you. I actually hope you guys win your first championship, but it's still pissed on you as a Lakers fan. So.
I just want to say, man, it's been pissed on you ever since the bubble.
I don't care.
So, yeah. It'll be pissed on you next year.
Yeah.
It'll be pissed on you the year after that.
Right, always. But I mean, I do hope that you guys win, but even still.
Finish the story, Denver. Finish the story. Any final thoughts, Joe or Coach?
No, we said it all. Said it all. I want to go on the topic for the WNBA right quick. The Aces, right. the Aces finally got beat yesterday by the Connecticut Sun. Connecticut Sun is real good. Alyssa Thomas playing like an all-star, is an all-star today as of today. Bonner had a hell of a game yesterday, 41 points on the Las Vegas Aces. You got to give credit to Coach White and DeWanna Bonner for the performance that they put on versus the Las Vegas Aces today. Las Vegas Aces yesterday, that was a hell of a performance by DeWanna Bonner.
And I want to give a WNBA shout out. I appreciate you, Coach, because I know you was going to do it. I didn't have to.
Yeah.
I want to give an NBA shout out, a WNBA shout out to the Seattle Storm getting a
there we go.
Jewel Lloyd is a monster.
Yeah.
That woman is the truth. If you have not seen the Seattle Storm play, they don't have an NBA team, but you can go rock with that WNBA team to get you some good basketball. Jewel Lloyd is a star.
Yeah.
Okay. I seen this woman come down and give that team the work. And she did it with 4 rookies at one point in the game, running it, giving those ladies the ball in perfect positions, just playing a heck of a game of basketball. Fundamental, smart, unafraid to take the shots. And for the Lakers fan that's still sitting here, she calls herself the Gold Mamba.
Yep. Rightfully so. Rightfully so she is. Man, it's just her. It's just her and a bunch of rookies. Outside of her and is it Ezzy Managor, the team is not as good. Now, Jordan Horston did have a hell of a game. She did have a hell of a game against the Sparks. She did have a game. She definitely stepped up. But outside of her and Izzy Managor, the team is probably the worst team in the league. And Jewel Lloyd has to go Super Saiyan mode every night for that team to win. But give kudos to her. She embracing the role that she got. This girl's a legit superstar. She's a superstar in the NBA, in the WNBA. She's a superstar.
So cool. Basically, what you're telling me is that she's not like the other 2 people who invoke the name of Kobe Bryant and then don't go out there and show up.
Well, the WNBA people who invoke the name of Kobe Bryant go out and play.
Yeah.
Because one called themselves the White Mamba, and that's Diana Taurasi, and she balls. And then Jewel Lloyd calls herself the Gold Mamba, and she balls.
Yeah, because we got 2 guys.
They're honoring Kobe's memory with their play. It's the guys in the NBA that go out and invoke Kobe's name and then stink it up.
Like Joel Embiid, we don't talk about that though. Yeah.
And Jason Tatum.
Yeah, and Klay Thompson.
Klay Thompson.
Mister, I'm dedicating this series to Kobe, and you score like 6 points a game.
But yeah, man. WNBA is here, right? So you know you're going to hear a little bit about that. But we're about to end these finals here in about a week or 2, right? Even if it goes 7. After that, I'm telling you, versus just packing it in, man, just start finding these WNBA games. And I know a lot of people say, oh, WNBA is just not as exciting. It's not this, it's not that. This is not the game from 5-10 years ago. All these amazing athletes in college, they're now coming into this league. Some of these ladies are not getting an opportunity because they need more teams. They need an expansion. That's another story. But what you are seeing is some of the best, most of the best. I won't say all, but most of the best women in the world playing in the WNBA. If we watch it, it grows. If it grows, your nieces, your nephews, your little cousins, they have a chance to see women also. Your brothers, your sisters go out and play. And for those females, they get an opportunity to say, hey, this is something I can do. So I think the WNBA really needs you guys to give it a chance.
Yep.
Just give it a chance.
Shout out to Shakira Austin, who's having a phenomenal start.
Phenomenal. She's been phenomenal. I did about 3 games of them. She's phenomenal. But outside of Shakira Austin is going to be a stud in the league. But I still got a lot of faith in the Washington Mystics. Part of their struggles when Elena Delle Donne is not doing great, when the teams are doubling her, they got to find someone else to score. Ari Austin had a solid 2 games, but most of those games, the guard players really struggled in those games that they lost. The guard players really struggled.
I have a little bit of qualms with a lot of things you said, but that's for another day. That's something we should talk about another time, because I have a different perspective on why that is based off of what I've seen from the team last year and this year. We should have that conversation one day.
Well, I'll say this since we're talking about shout out to Ryan Hart, the Beast, that lady for the dream. I'm not gonna we're gonna start talking about other players. I'm not gonna let it go till we at least mention the name of Ryan Howard. I believe she's top 5 player in the league right now.
Mm-hmm.
Worst case, top 10.
She gonna be. I got her as a top 10 player coming in this season. Ryan Howard gonna be a superstar. She's gonna be a superstar. That's a bad girl.
I told y'all that when she was at Kentucky.
He led the team to the tournament by a damn self, basically.
The only one, wasn't she the only one to give South Carolina their only loss that year?
Yeah, they lost it. They beat them in the. They beat them in the.
And
SEC.
You said it right. You said it right. She was the only one. You said it right.
They beat them in the SEC. They beat them in the SEC.
She cold. She's cold as hell.
So yeah, with that being said, we'll go ahead and end the show for the evening. Appreciate everybody. Does anybody want to shout out where you can be found, any of that stuff, or y'all good to go for the night?
Good to go.
Good to go.
G.
Be here next week. 2 of your friends, 4 of your enemies. Just because they don't like you doesn't mean they won't like us. Let's get it.